Welcome to the Crunch Time Instagram Live podcast, hosted by me, Benjamin Bullock. This podcast features nothing but real talk analysis and conversations about sports, entertainment, news, and much more. Now, strap in and buckle your seatbelts because it's time for Crunch Time. What's happening, y'all? What's going on? Welcome to the most recent episode of the Crunch Time Instagram Live podcast. I'm your host, Benjamin Bullock. So I hope everything is going well with y'all on this Thursday evening, November the 12th. This particular episode, we're going to be talking about the 411 on the real estate market across three different areas in the country. We got Atlanta, Dallas, and also LA. So I'll have my man Curtis Lancaster from Atlanta, my client and good friend Amber Dorsey out of Dallas-Fort Worth right here where I'm living right now, and also Natasha Reneau-Jones based out of LA. So for y'all first time listening, for the first time, everybody who's out there, this is the Crunch Time Instagram Live podcast. I'm your host, Benjamin Bullock, and on this particular podcast, we discuss real talk analysis, get news updates or whatever. My bread and butter is sports, but I do kind of bounce around a little bit to different things. So this particular episode, like I said, we're going to be talking about real estate, and for me being a millennial, 32 years old, in the process of buying a house or in the market of buying a house as a first-time home buyer, and the majority of my followers and people who listen to the show are home buyers or looking to buy a home soon or are homeowners. I think this would be a good market. I mean, a good show for you guys just to get some insight and some knowledge on, how the real estate market is, considering we're in the midst of a pandemic that's getting worse. So I'm going to get this thing started, man. I'm going to add my man Curtis Lancaster out of ATL. Curtis.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
What's up, man? What's going on, man? Thanks for taking time at a busy schedule, man. I know you're pretty busy out there in Atlanta, man.
Man, it's been crazy. It's been real crazy. You see me, I'm trying to stay awake.
Man, listen, bro, I've been working like crazy. I got this thing going on, man, and some other stuff too, regular work and stuff, man. So once again, man, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know, like I said, like we already talked about, man, I know you got client after client after client showing houses and doing all that kind of stuff, man. So how's your schedule been lately?
It's been crazy, man. Blessed. I was really scared when this thing first hit, man. I thought things were going to completely shut down. We didn't really know. There's a lot of uncertainty out there, and the market has really stood firm. And I think it went for the best in regards to opportunity for people to purchase homes now, because buyer clients are getting insanely low interest rates right now to purchase a home. This is like historic. So if you're in the market to purchase a home, or you thinking about it, or you're on the fence, now is the time to capitalize on these interest rates. I've never seen them this low. You're getting 2% interest on a 30-year mortgage. That's like peanuts, man. So, I think it's essential, if you are in the market right now, is the time to capitalize on this, because we don't know when it's going to be like this again. This is something we never could have imagined, a pandemic,
right,
2020.
Right. So in terms of, what's the current climate in regards to the real estate market in Atlanta, man?
So Atlanta's market is booming. It's a seller's market right now. So the one bad thing that comes with a lot of buyers being on the market right now is that we don't have a lot of inventory out there. So there's not a lot of people selling homes. So it takes a realtor to go in there and educate somebody to say, hey, now is the time to try to sell your home, because you got a lot of buyers. So the demand is high. When the demand is high, it's a seller's market, because now you could command what price you want for your home, because you got a lot of people fighting over it. So right now on the buyer side, you almost guaranteed to get into a bidding war over a house. So that's kind of the climate right now in Atlanta with the real estate market, which I think is kind of like that across the board, which we'll see that here in a minute when we talk to the other folks. But
right. This is Curtis Lancaster from Atlanta. Go and drop your questions down for him in the comment section. So Curtis, man, you've been a realtor for quite some time. I saw you spent some time in the military, man. What made you want to hop into this business?
So kind of rewind it back. So I'm a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. So I served 17 years in the Air Force.
Oh, congrats, man. Appreciate it.
Young, right?
Happy Veterans Day to you, man, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So in joining, like, my original plan, I'm thinking I'm going to do law enforcement. I'm thinking I'm going to be this secret agent guy, CIA type of guy. So I joined, and my intent was to transition over to the FBI eventually. And in doing that, I was able to become a recruiter. So while I served, I became a recruiter, and I really found that my passion was in helping people. And doing that, I was like, oh, I really like this, like talking to people, building rapport, just helping people all in general, man. And I found that to be my passion. So fast forward, I met a young lady who is now my wife.
Nice.
Yeah, it's my business partner too. So
Yeah.
she was already licensed, and I always had interest in homes and the owning process, and kind of
Right.
confused about it. And she had to do continuing education, and come to find out the company that we're both with at the time was offering a vet to rep program.
Okay.
So that company allowed, the brokerage allowed for me to pay, they pay for all of my training, everything, all of my licensing for the first year in business. And so that's pretty much how I got into the business initially. And yeah, it definitely is, it plays into my passion of wanting to help people,
Right.
because I really like looking at homes. I like finding somebody the exact, like what they imagined in their mind,
Mm-hmm.
what they wanted. And then on the new construction side, we do a lot of those, like building something from the ground up, like somebody imagined in their head and seeing it come off the
Mm-hmm.
paper into life. And then on the listing side, I really like the negotiating piece and
Mm-hmm.
just building rapport with other agents, and like the competitiveness of trying to maneuver a contract.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy it, man. Helping people all the way around is the real reason, I guess, the short answer.
That's good, man. And you got to get people in these homes, man. And as we know, Atlanta, especially for Black folks, man, that's a hot spot for people moving down, man. You know what I mean? So just talk to me a
Yeah.
little bit about your clientele and how competitive it is in terms of you working with other realtors. Because me just doing research and just out there on Instagram, it's a lot of realtors in Atlanta, man. A lot of successful ones too.
Yeah. So Atlanta is huge, man. So a lot of people will think like, oh, it's so many realtors out there. You got to think. So out of 10 realtors that get licensed, right?
Hmm.
Only after the first year, only about 7 out of 10 of them will survive that first year. And then out of those 7 that are left, probably about 3 of them will survive that second year in
Hmm.
business. So you'll see a lot of people jump into the business, but
Hmm.
they kind of don't last the test of time. And
Yeah.
that's because it's not easy. It's not HGTV. It's not, luckily I came into the business with sales experience. So
Right.
that's a huge part of it. If you have that type of training. So to get back to your question, a lot of the agents out there, you kind of like are crossing paths, but you have your own, really your sphere of influence is what we call it, of clientele that you would kind of generate based off of your connections, your network of people.
Hmm.
So those paths may cross, but I mean, business is abundant.
Right.
Is my thing, and a lot of times you'll find you're not really like competing over the same people. It's
Hmm.
more about using those relationships to kind of get a deal done. I would say the past 3 deals that I just recently did,
Yeah.
there are because of relationships off of Instagram, like with other
Mm.
realtors in the market. So it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like we follow each other. We're like, oh, we see each other's name, and it's like, oh, we're gonna make this deal happen. Let's get the contract with you. And
Okay.
yeah, that's a lot of times how it's been working out. Here recently, it's been working
Hmm.
like that, especially with not that many homes on the market.
Yeah.
So if we have listings and we recognize the name, we're like, oh, that's gonna be somebody that's gonna try to get to the closing table with me,
Right.
So we're not gonna be playing around. So that's kind of the climate I would say between realtors in the market.
Hmm. What would you say is your like your most I'm sorry, what's your clientele base? Is it first time home buyers, or is it like people, like working on their second or third house, or just kind of bounce around with various whoever it might be?
Yeah, it varies. So I would say kind of the clients kind of mirror me a little bit. So military veterans are a huge
Mm,
clientele of ours.
okay.
Relocation clients, so clients coming from different states.
Yeah.
A lot of our business are referrals. So like
Mm,
that's huge for us. People who know other people who have referred us, which is the strongest client I would say,
yeah.
because there's the personal relationship. So first time home buyers, new construction clients, we are getting a lot of repeat customers because of people we put into houses.
Yeah.
When we first started with them, things change. They might be upgrading, downgrading, just all
Mm,
depends on what their situation is. But
mm,
that's kind of our clientele. Our niche is luxury homes,
mm,
new construction, first-time home buyers,
Yeah.
and military vets, I would say, is the gamut of what we deal with.
Smooth. I got a question for you from my man Rick Jackson out of Baltimore, Maryland. He says, would you recommend selling your home now if you were planning on doing it in 2022? That's a really good question.
Wow. If I was a gambling man, right? But I'll give you my expertise because I can't predict what's going to happen in 2022. Yeah. But I would venture to say that this situation that we're in is very unique. It's not going to be a copy of that in 2022. If I was a gambling man, I could probably bet that we're not going to be in the same scenario that we're in now in 2022. If I had to sell my home, I would sell it now because you will probably get the most bang for your buck because you have so many people trying to buy your home. But without the follow-up question I would ask to that is did you buy the home? Because that matters in terms of equity and what you're going to come out with net to seller after fees and all these types of things are taking place. You want to make sure you're not in a negative situation at the end. So if you are, then I would say, yes, wait, build up some equity, pay down the loan sum and wait. But if you're in a position where that's not going to matter, now is the time because you got the most audience for your home right now with buyers looking to purchase. So I would say now.
How would you compare? I just thought about this question. So it wasn't one of the questions I sent you early on, but I'm just thinking about how the market was when it crashed in '08. So it's like a totally 180 from how it was back then, which is crazy. Since we're both in the recession, but it seems like now on the housing tip, it's like way better.
So it's a completely different scenario than the recession of 2008 because, and I wasn't in the business in 2008. Yeah. However, so history showed it has to do with mortgages back then. So people were defaulting on bad mortgages that people were allowed to get. So people were getting mortgages that they really couldn't afford the home. Yeah. So after that recession happened, they went back and looked at it. They were like, okay, we need to tighten up on regulations with mortgages. We can't give people these special type of mortgages where it's really low in the beginning and then it balloons after 10 years or so. So those type of mortgages were kind of cut back a bit when we came out of recession. So a lot of regulations were put in place to kind of prevent that. And right now what they're doing by bringing that interest rate down, they're trying to force the housing market to keep going. Gotcha. So they put a moratorium on if I'm saying that word correctly. Yeah, I think yes, right. Yeah, you're good. Right, on foreclosures. So like a stoppage on foreclosures right now. And so that's also helping because remember, a lot of people are out of work right now. Right. They can't pay for mortgages. That's, foreclosure, depending on what state you're in. Like here in Georgia, they're pretty quick about that. But the federal government kind of put a stop to that. Okay. So that also helps as well because when foreclosures start happening, that'll tumble the economy really quickly. And when people stop buying, so if there's uncertainty about the housing market and everything like that, but they forced it by putting those interest rates so low. So we're in a good space right now as long as they kind of keep that functioning.
Gotcha. This is Curtis Lancaster, a realtor out of Atlanta. Curtis, I got one question for you. Also, if you have a question for him, go and drop it in the comment section. So if someone's looking to move to Atlanta soon, what are some things they need to kind of keep in mind or what should be on their checklist?
So the biggest thing obviously is employment, but what I would say is you need to kind of figure out, like a lot of people think, if you've never been here before, people are like, oh, it's like 30 minutes to get to anywhere.
Traffic crazy out there. No.
Okay, so you've been here.
My wife from here. Yeah, so I'm very familiar with Atlanta. Yeah.
Yes, so that's the one thing I always tell clients, especially relocation clients. You got to know where you're going to be working in relation to where you want to live. And I kind of give people that kind of advice based on where they're going to be working or where they think they're going to frequent a lot, eat, work, play, because that's your quality of life is all dependent upon your commute after work and all that kind of stuff. So that's the biggest thing. People just give me these places and they'll say, oh, I got friends that live over here and it's on one side, of Atlanta and they work on the other side. I'm like, that's an hour both ways in traffic.
In Atlanta traffic.
More than that,
It's stupid, man.
Yes.
It's stupid.
A lot of people don't know that the traffic here is insane. You would look at the highway and like, how could this be traffic?
It's stupid out there.
Lanes of traffic. So that's the biggest advice I give people. Right now with COVID, it's a little dial back, but it's still bad.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. If I were to
yeah.
relocate to Atlanta, my mother-in-law actually lives in Smyrna, so I think that's like the
Mm,
perfect distance going to the airport, going to the city. I think that's like the
yeah,
perfect, and you're in the burbs too, so you ain't got to worry too much about the city how it's rolling, man. So that's kind of the area I would consider if I would
man,
relocate to Atlanta.
that area has grown so much, and the prices have shot up. They built the new Brave Stadium. You
Yeah,
familiar?
yeah, yeah,
Down the
definitely.
way.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that area has shot up so far right now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but good area though.
Yeah, I like Smyrna, man. I got one
Yeah.
question from my man Zaki Gibson out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This actually be the last question. He says, how does an LLC help with using rentals? Are there any incentives and deals to help people starting an investment company?
Yes. So LLCs, just by design, is for protection of your personal assets. So when you have rental property, you want to protect your personal assets from litigation. So if somebody, you have a tenant in one of your rental properties and they slip and fall down the stairs, if you don't have an LLC set up where that property is underneath it,
Hmm.
then basically all your personal assets are at risk if they
Hmm.
decide that they want to sue you. So your personal banking account, your own house that you are living in,
Hmm.
just everything that you own is in jeopardy. So yes, I think it's very important that you set up an LLC when it comes to rental property. That's how I have it personally. Like
Hmm.
you have to have separation between your personal assets and your rental assets. Hopefully that answered
No,
that
that I
question fully.
yeah, hey, real talk, man. That's a knowledge session for your boy, man, too. So I'm learning a lot, man. But
Yeah,
hey,
you don't want to play with that.
nah, you don't, man. Well, Curtis, man, thank you
Yeah,
so much, man, for taking time out of your busy schedule. It was definitely a dope talk.
yeah,
We'll catch up soon, man. You be good out
yeah.
down there in Atlanta, all right?
All right. Thank you for having me, man.
No problem, man. All right, y'all. That was Curtis Lancaster out of ATL. He's a realtor down there, so shout out to him for dropping some good knowledge. If you're thinking about moving down to ATL, definitely hit him up if you're trying to get a house. So just kind of give you a background of why I decided to go this route on this particular show. Real estate has low key has been a passion of mine for quite some time, and ever since I moved out to Dallas, I've actually been working with some real estate people in terms of content wise. So this kind of been the best of both worlds in regards to kind of building my brand, also learning about the real estate market, which kind of leads me into my next guest, Amber Dorsey, straight out of Dallas, Texas, went to Duncanville High School, also went to the University of Arkansas. She's been a realtor for quite some time. She actually went independent about 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And how we met through a mutual friend, and come to find out we actually know some of the same people. So I'm going to add her right now. Amber Dorsey, what's cracking? What's going on?
Nothing. Oh, I'm close. Okay.
Come on
How
now,
are you?
I'm good. You know you a mass comm major. You know how you supposed to set the camera up and everything. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah,
How about you do? How about you?
I'm good. I'm using my phone. My iPad didn't want to connect to my AirPods, so I'm using my phone. So,
That's good. You got to make it happen, man. So
hmm
first and foremost, man, before we get into this thing, I already gave you an introduction, but tell the people how you even got into this real estate business.
God, it was all God. So, I went to school, like he just said, to be a broadcast journalist, and so that was my dream. I was gonna be on TV, and I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm country.
No, you
And
got an
so
accent on you, girl.
and so you can't be country on TV. Like you can't have an accent that's not American enough. And so I went to try to figure out what was next. So I kind of took the public relations route and I did more of the behind the scenes. I started working for a city. And as I was working for the city, I started off as just public relations, honestly, and started doing city taxes, which is the city's budget. And then as I started doing that, I started working with the HOAs closely.
Hmm.
A lot of the other things that people pay taxes for in certain cities. So, like PIDs, which is public improvement district, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Created a LinkedIn and started working for a master plan residential developer. And so I say God because all of these avenues just kind of led me into the real
Hmm.
estate route.
Right.
And it was someone that I met while I was working for the developer and my boss as well that was like, hey, what do we have to do to make you a realtor? Because that's you all day.
Hmm.
So after that, I just started doing real estate full time. I think I worked there for like a
You
year and
quit.
a
You was
half,
a, you
almost
said
2 years.
you said you was the marketing manager or something like that, right?
Yeah, I was the director of marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and I randomly picked a random date. It was September 11th of whatever year that
Wow.
was.
Wow.
And I said, that's going to be my last day. And
Mm-hmm.
I sent my 2 weeks notice in a month and 2 weeks early.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I'm prepping you because this is a big role to fill. So I'm giving you time to find somebody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, September 11th was my last day there.
Well, obviously, as you know, Amber, me and you working together has been a blessing. You know, I'm hitting you up all the time about these houses on the side, you
Hmm.
know what I mean? So just talk to me a little bit about, you know, what the competition level is like out here. I mean, what sets you apart? Because obviously it's a very competitive market out here in Dallas. It's very widespread. A lot of people looking for houses, and this is probably like, I think the number one destination for people to move.
One of the top. So it's, I think, so ironically, the one thing that's, I'll start with this. Dallas, Fort Worth, those are both in the top 5 cities to live
Mm-hmm.
in.
Mm-hmm.
And then Frisco is the number 1 city to live in, which is
Right.
all of the markets in this area.
Right.
But what sets me apart, I think one is I'm personable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really big on being your friend, and I'm your
Mm-hmm.
friend first. Um, I think that it like the most important thing is the bond that I can build with you, because it's a privilege for me to even go through this with you. You
Right.
could pick, like you said, a million other realtors, but I
Mm-hmm.
want you to know that the realtor that you picked actually cares about you and you only, not me, not anybody else, just you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the number one thing. The other thing I think is because I'm very detail oriented.
Mm-hmm.
With me being personable, I will send you a text message and tell you something and go right behind it and send you the most professional email to kind of walk you through the process, because I want you to know, like, while we're cool and we're going through this together,
Yeah.
and you can cry to me, you can go through everything with me. Yesterday I had a closing and my client wanted to take shots. So
And yeah, you know you
that's,
down for that. You know you down
yeah.
for
So
that.
we're
And
gonna,
hookah.
I'm going to have fun with you, because that is the process. It should
Right.
be fun. And so that was us yesterday. But at the same time, I want you to know, hey, this is a contractual agreement.
Mm-hmm.
This is a legal agreement. And so let's keep the business part of it going while I keep the friendship as well, because you're not going through this alone.
Right. Right. Now talk to me a little bit about, I'm sorry, this is Amber Dorsey, realtor down here in Dallas, Texas. If y'all have any questions for her, go and drop it right down in the comment section. So Amber, we kind of talked about this beforehand. Believe it or not, COVID has really been the reason why. I say the reason why, but houses have really gone up. You know what I mean? I think the
Mm-hmm.
average house, I remember you told me out here was 250,000. Now it's up to 290 based off that
Mm-hmm.
article I sent you. Now, I mean, so my question to you is, why is that, and how have you been able to adjust to the restrictions or the things that COVID has brought towards your business?
So it's much like what Curtis said earlier. It's a seller's market. And I think that's all across the board, no matter what city or state you're in. It is
Mm-hmm.
a seller's market. So with it being a seller's market, you have buyers that are bidding above asking price.
Mm-hmm.
And with Dallas, the interesting thing about Dallas is, while the world is shut down, depending on where you're located,
Right.
while the world is shut down, Dallas is still building. So we have a lot
Yeah.
of businesses that are coming here. Amazon keeps opening warehouses. Toyota is still expanding.
Mm-hmm.
So if you talk about where these businesses initially came from, there are people relocating from the original cities that the companies came from. So a lot of people coming from Cali, which is
Yeah.
really big, because
Yeah.
the cost of living in Cali is completely different from the cost of living in Dallas.
Right.
And so what'll happen is they'll pay cash for these houses,
Wow.
or they'll put 20 to 30% down. And so if the house doesn't appraise, they're willing to go above appraisal value. I had a client that was willing to go above appraisal value,
Wow.
and I wouldn't let him, but I knew that, hey, this house is gonna appraise and the realtor listed it improperly,
Yeah.
so we'll be fine. But I'm really big on, hey, don't come out of pocket too much, because then you don't have equity. And
Hmm.
while we're in a pandemic, we don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Right. You're right. We don't know what's going to happen, but like you said, with Dallas, and it kind of leads me to my next question. Like, what Dallas is, what makes the market different than a lot of other people is that we got land and space and opportunity out here, and we have business. So there's always going to be jobs here, no matter what, how the economy is doing. Because obviously, like you said, we have business coming down here nonstop.
And Dallas Fort Worth is two major cities, so two
Right.
very popular cities. And then Frisco is building a world of its own, which is, built off of McKinney. And then they have a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother world that's being built up north, so you can
Mm-hmm.
get stuff for cheap up there, compared to the other homes, and
Right.
they'll be brand new or new-ish.
Right. Right. And for those who don't know where Frisco is north of Dallas. I used to work in Frisco since I worked for the Cowboys. Amber, you're obviously familiar with that. So for those who aren't
Hmm.
familiar, like I said, the Cowboys are up there, and also you have Plano, which has PepsiCo, numerous other 500 Fortune
Toyotas
companies,
and
Toyota, a
State
lot of them.
Farm.
Exactly. So that I can see why that area is booming. So for those who are thinking about moving down here, that's definitely a hot spot. So Amber, I got a couple of questions for you. The first one is from Big Kev. He says, "What's the best advice for someone who wants to get into the real estate
Um, do it. But if you're
game?"
gonna do it, do it.
Right.
And I don't mean, you can't be shy when it comes to real estate, because you're gonna meet a million strangers. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're shy with who you are, because everybody's gonna buy a house, and they can buy a house from me, they can buy a house from Ben, and most people are going to work with the person that they like, because they can
Mm-hmm.
buy a house from anybody.
Right.
So do it, and always be 100% wholeheartedly yourself. You don't hold back who you are, um, and people will love you for who you are.
Mm-hmm.
But learn as much as you can.
Got
Learn.
you.
I mean, I'm from here, so I'm very familiar with Dallas. And then, like I said, I worked for a master plan residential developer, so that made me learn things about Dallas that I didn't really think I would ever know. But I know things about, like, where buildings are coming or different things like that. And I've been knowing these things for like 10 years, whereas people are just learning now.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Yeah, you definitely own it, Amber. I know just us kind of knowing what it's been almost 2 years now since we've been knowing each other pretty well, working together.
Yeah, been
Yeah,
my
you
videographer, the video you
man.
posted today.
Yeah. That was like it was a combination like from the first ones we
Mhm.
did or whatever.
Mhm.
I got a question from my friend Alma out of Washington D.C. where it's really expensive out there. She says, "Is the standard 20% down still recommended in this market in particular? Yeah, in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area."
So I actually have a contact out in Maryland. So I would recommend you talk to her, but 20% down. So the the loan process is a federal process, so it's all across the board. Um, if you're doing an FHA loan, then it's 3.5% down.
Hmm.
And then if you're doing a conventional loan, it can be 3 or 5% down. So it's not required that you put 20% down. It just depends on how much you have, what your goal is, and all of those things combined.
Hmm.
But when I'm saying the down payment, I don't want you to cancel out that there's also closing costs. And
Right.
closing costs is your tax, title, and license, just like buying a car, except they don't let you put that in the loan because the title company wants their money up front.
Hmm. Right. Now, Curtis talked about this last time. I mean, earlier, he was talking
Earlier.
about like how he was saying that people are like overpaying for these houses. You know what I mean? I had a buddy of mine just in Atlanta. Actually, he said he found a couple of houses. They was ready to put it down, and then next thing you know, somebody made an offer but can refuse. So what's some advice for people out there that's like kind of in the fight for their home? Should they continue to stay renting, or should they still continue just to fight the good fight and just still look for a house?
I say prayer and patience.
Hmm.
Honestly, the house that's for you is going to come up. It like I have a client that I worked with. I've never worked with somebody for 3 months shopping, and we worked together for 3 months, and we found the perfect house. Inspection came back perfect. They are giving her new floors throughout the home.
Nice.
So prayer and patience. Just know what you want. Stand firm in what you want, and I mean, be open minded and be very clear and precise about what you're looking
Right.
for, because that's the realtor's job, is to make sure that they can help you find it. Now, sometimes you may find a house via Zillow, or we
Yeah,
send you a list and you see the list first.
like I do.
But you can't, yeah, but you can't negotiate that contract like me.
Right.
So it's just different things when you are, I just say prayer and patience. And then look at the new builds in the area.
Yeah.
Um, I was just talking to my best friend, and I was just telling her I have 8 new builds for next year already. They don't want to compete, and so we're
They just
not
want to get in
competing.
and just, yeah, just get in, just get out. That's kind of like just kind of listen to you, Curtis, and a couple of other buddies. Like I think that's the route that me and Anya would like to go.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I got one last question for you. If y'all have any more questions for Amber, go and drop it in the comment section. So Amber, if somebody's looking to move to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, what are some things they need to know before making that decision?
Just know where you want to stay, kind of like what Curtis said. Dallas is pretty spread out, and we haven't always had a whole. I see Anya's reply. We haven't always had like traffic how we have today, and it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And we're in COVID, and he said in Atlanta the traffic isn't as bad as normal. Well, we still have traffic
Right.
because they're taking advantage of the lack of traffic and they're doing construction. So we
Yep.
still have traffic here.
Especially on
And
35. It's coming south.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So um, just know where you want to stay and be honest with yourself and allow your realtor to be honest with you. Like if you have a 200,000 budget and you telling me you want to live in Frisco, hey, are you okay living on the outskirts of Frisco? Because I can't get you in Frisco. So
Mm-hmm.
just being open minded and being open to taking real legitimate advice, because I'm one of those people. I have a client now, and I told her, I said, hey, we'll take baby steps, but I want you to have realistic expectations. The
Right.
world does need renters, but you telling me you want to buy, so I want to set you up to buy
Right.
if you can.
Right. And $200,000 in Frisco ain't gonna get you nothing.
Mm-mm.
Nothing. Not you're not even in the ballpark in Frisco with that. Maybe where we at in DeSoto, Glen Heights, maybe you might get a little something. It ain't gonna be great. But $200,000 in Frisco,
I don't even
no.
think out there. Because
Amber.
now down south it's getting to like, I think the minimum I'm seeing is like 225 ish,
Yeah.
and that's for something nice.
Yeah. Yeah. You know I'm
Now if
on
you're
it.
trying to flip, go below.
Yeah. If you're trying to flip, you get one of them old houses that's in DeSoto.
Mhm.
Get that thing like remember the first house we went and looked at with your girl in DeSoto right
Mhm.
off of Hampton Road. And that was
Mhm.
an older house, but it was flipped and it was going for what, like 260, 270, I think.
Mhm. It was like 260.
Wow. Well, that's crazy. Well, Amber, thank you so much, for hopping on with me. You're one of my best buddies, man, in the city. You've been so great to me in terms of keeping my content up and just being a good friend I can lean on when it comes to houses. And you already know I'll be blowing your inbox up no matter the time of night. You
No,
know
we
what I mean?
good. We good.
You know what I mean? So, but we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Thanks, Amber.
you.
Yep. All right, y'all. That was my homegirl, Amber Dorsey, straight out of Dallas, Texas. One of the top realtors in this region. She definitely does her thing in regards to real estate and a whole bunch of other things and connecting people as well. So, coming up next, I said this will be my last guest for today is Natasha Reneau-Jones, straight out of LA, LBC area, all that good stuff, man. And obviously, as we know, California is extremely expensive for those who watch HGTV, and the cost of living is pretty high. So I felt it would be good to get her perspective. And also shout out to her sister, Nikki Holland. I actually had her scheduled to come on, but she got sick and she's under the weather. So shout out to her. She's actually watching right now, so I hope she's going to feel better. So I'm going to actually add her sister, which they're both in business together, in the real estate business together. I'm going to add her right now.
Hello.
Tasha, what's up? What's going on?
Doing well, adjusting to this weather because, we have sunny weather out here in California. And it's been cold lately.
What's cold?
So.
What's cold to y'all, though? What's cold?
60 degrees. Yes.
60 degrees? That's cold to y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all want to see those snow then. Y'all want to see that.
Well, see, the good thing is that you can drive to the snow, like an hour and a half north. Just drive to the snow, if you want that.
Man, 60 degrees ain't nothing, man. Ain't nothing but a nice little cool breeze. How you doing, though? You doing okay?
Doing well. Thank you. And thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Now, let's hop straight into it. Now, what made you and your sister, shout out to Nikki, what make y'all want to join forces and start your own real estate company?
Yeah, shout out to Nikki. I see you. So yeah, so we're really close in age. We're about 3 years apart from each other. We've always been very entrepreneurial. We always want to do something big, and we've dabbled in a few things, in the past. But last year is when we found out that, hey, real estate might be our thing that we can probably grow something into. So we got our license not too far apart from each other, but decided to go to different brokerages at the time, just because each of those brokerages, they fit the needs that we were looking for at that time.
Right.
So we were individual agents, marketed ourselves as that. However, we did begin to market ourselves as the Reneau Group to a particular neighborhood that we cover, that we absolutely love. And we started getting a really good response from the neighborhood, cultivating relationships. They just loved the fact we were, sisters, family, did it together, worked hard. They loved the value that we brought, the information when we door knocked. So that was I knew it was going to flow very nicely into once we, became official. Also, we were talking with one of our mentors, shout out to Rod Watson last year. He's in the luxury and sports and entertainment field. And we wanted to work with him, but at the time, the broker that he was with, it didn't fit with what we were looking for.
Right.
So fast forward to COVID, the stay-at-home order went into effect, and Rod actually ended up at Keller Williams. So he came on over to Keller Williams, and he's in the Beverly Hills office, and he became the sports and entertainment director with his LA VIP agent platform. And it was a no-brainer for me. I was in the Long Beach office, and I was like, hey, I got to go to Beverly Hills. That's where I need to be. I need to work with him. And then on top of that, my sister, she saw the value that all the backing and everything that was coming with, being with Keller Williams and the LA VIP agent platform. So she came on over. We joined forces with him, and her and I collectively formed the Reneau Group, and here we are today. And it's been a real blessing. Our whole concept is to lead with education and convenience and resource to all of our clients. That's really what it's all about. And while we're all about helping people achieve our real estate goals, but also at the same time, we're working behind the scenes and establishing a lot of relationships with high profile people, companies, developers, and really it's been going really great. So we're really excited to be in business together and feel very blessed.
Yeah, well, congratulations on all y'all success that y'all had so far. But as you know, everybody loves the LA vibes, good food, good weather, good all that kind of stuff. But it's just so daggone expensive to move out there and just to find some place to live. So, what does your clientele make? What makes up your clientele? Is it first time home buyers? Is it, is it mainly sports people? Is it actors, entertainers? So what creates your clientele?
To be honest, it's a mix. I say our demographic is the clientele that I would consider the coachable client. And I say this because over here, they come in all races, all income brackets, professions. We identify it very early on and pretty much set our clientele apart based on that. We need someone who's going to be committed to the process. So, and our average price point is in between $900 to $1 million. That's our average price point. So that person really needs to be committed. We get everyone from young business professionals and creatives that are first-time home buyers. Naturally, since we're younger, we're getting, those younger people that are looking to purchase their properties. But we also have older clients. And they see all the value in the knowledge that we bring. So we have older clients, getting ready to retire, maybe want to downsize or get a second home. Also investors. I come from, before getting my license, I worked with a lot of investors. I was kind of my bread and butter. So, we have investors that are looking to secure more properties and then offload properties. We have families that are growing and want to get another property, upstage. Investment properties, that's a huge one as far as just the retail client that's looking for a return. And actually, we're seeing a lot of our clients look out of state too. So we're actually we have to kind of expand our mind and look at the other markets and position our client to, be able to get the return that they're looking for. Like we just had a client that just purchased 9 properties in Ohio, but we're here in LA. So it's just like for the clients out here, I feel like, also we do commercial real estate. We have really large clients in that space too. So it's like out here, I feel like to be successful out here, you can have your niche as well, but
Yeah.
You can have your niche, but I feel like you have to have a widespread of knowledge because and be a true expert and well-versed, because like I said, you have people that are coming to you that might want you to do 4 different things. We have a client right now that we're working with where he wants us to lease out one of his larger homes in an up-and-coming area. We're also leasing out commercial space. He has several units that we're leasing out for him. Additionally, he wants to sell 2 of his properties.
Yeah.
So that right there, you're covering leasing and residential, leasing and commercial, and you're selling residential. So to be able to have that knowledge, I think is really key out here, because in LA, the client wants convenience.
Right. Yeah, you speak in convenience. I mean, because like I said, y'all traffic is bad, really bad compared to a lot of other places. So, try to find somewhere that's downtown, or I guess Orange County, I guess somewhere like that, or LA County, whatever it is. I'm not very familiar. I need to get familiar with that. But
no, the counties are right. You have LA County and Orange County.
Okay.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, cool.
But
cool.
yeah, the traffic is absolutely horrible. So, and even with the stay-home orders that are slightly being lifted, it's still really bad. So
Okay, I got you. I got a question from my man Rick Jackson. By the way, this is Natasha Reneau-Jones, realtor out in LA. If y'all have any questions for her, go and drop it in the comment section. My man Rick Jackson out of Baltimore, Maryland, says his question is, what are your thoughts on the great flight from Cali to Nevada, Arizona, and Texas?
On the great flight
like people like migrating out of Cali to go to those 3 different places.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah, so he pretty much asked him, what do you think about people that are migrating away from California to Nevada, Arizona, and Texas?
It's happening a lot, actually. I mean, it's kind of inevitable. The people that are moving out, they've acquired a ton of equity on their properties and maybe have always wanted to. Another thing COVID's doing is bringing families together. So a lot of things that we've been hearing in the market is people have family over in other states and they've been wanting to move, they just didn't, or maybe they weren't wanting to move, but they just took this as the best time to capitalize on getting the most money for their property, and their priorities have changed and now they want to be closer to family.
Yeah.
I actually, I think it's interesting. Obviously the population out here is pretty big. So a lot of people are moving out to more of the suburbs and things of that sort. I think it's okay. I feel like people are always going to continue to come here for opportunity. So with people moving out, it's kind of just clearing the way for more people to come in that want to be here.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that big of a deal. Yeah.
Got you. So what makes the LA real estate market different than any other city in the country?
Oh, what makes it different? Our homes appreciate a lot faster, I believe, than most markets. Investments, even though they are a lot, they cost a little more. I feel like the appreciation is a little higher, but you also get your cash flow. So to hold on to something just a few years down the road, you're going to see a significant up in value. We also have something, I'm not sure if other markets have this, but we have what's called the opportunity zone. So I don't know if do they have that in Dallas?
Yeah, I never heard of that, no.
Okay, so that's really, I love that because it actually gives tax advantages to investors, very generous tax advantages to investors who are looking to build and provide affordable housing in certain neighborhoods so that people that originally live there can continue living there while the value of that area goes up. So that's something that I think is a huge plus and something that we have really good that's going for us. Also, we hold some of the most expensive homes in the world, not just the U.S., the world. And then it's very likely for your neighbor to end up being your favorite actor or sports entertainer or whatever. Right. So that's kind of cool.
That's cool. That's cool. I got another question from my friend Winnie, who actually is based out of Wilmington, Delaware. She says, have you seen a surge in home prices in California? And if so, what is driving that increase?
Right. Yes, definitely. Kind of as Amber had mentioned, kind of across the board. And I'm seeing that because I have a lot of agent relationships throughout the U.S. And it's kind of the same thing. What's causing that is so as far as the percentages, So in Southern California, the average home price is about 12%. It's up about 12% since last year. And for LA County specifically, we've seen it increase as high as 19% since last year. So it is absolutely bananas. Right now we have about a 2-month supply of homes, which, to put in perspective, for it to be even playing field for sellers and buyers, 5 to 7 months is what would be considered, you know, something that it would be considered a seller's market or a buyer's market. It'd be very neutral. So right now we're very low in inventory, and homes are getting from 5 to 20 offers when they list their home. You know, depending on it's absolute. Anything under, I would say under 800,000, you're seeing upwards to the 20 offers on it.
Ooh. Gave me the critters. Ooh, 800,000.
Please, but over a million, you're seeing usually around 5, at least 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're seeing with our listings. So, it's absolutely crazy. So that's what's driving the prices up, is the low inventory. And, you know, people are paying. And another trend that's happening is because of COVID, people now have to create their home space, their workspace, and their play space with their home. So they're going to pay a significant amount of money to be able to, you know, live within something that they really can't leave.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's crazy. Natasha, you're doing a phenomenal job, man. You and your sister, you know, trying to sell them $1 million houses out there, man.
I know. She said 260. I said, you actually, me and her, we looked at the Texas market. We're like, we should probably just go out there, huh?
Come on with it, man. We got plenty of space. So
right. You do.
Yeah, I got a question from my man Kevin out of Phoenix. He says, do you know any businesses in the Bay Area with the big 5 tech firms like Google and Facebook? That's actually a really good question.
Do I know any businesses in the big tech area?
Yeah.
So you're saying up north. So they are up north, but they have started to also set ground in what's called Silicon Beach. So kind of near the marina, Marina del Rey, Culver City, Santa Monica area. We've had some clients who have relocated there, and we've been able to, you know, help them relocate into a home. But a lot of them, and they're able to move to those areas too, because they're being paid great, you know. But but that's another thing that's also bringing people over here, like I said. And even though they're over, and it's changed a little bit. It's so funny because when we first went into the stay-home order, one of our clients, he was a tech guy, and his wife, and they were working from home. So a lot of people are actually still, like Snapchat. He works at Snapchat. They were all working from home, but they still want to be. I guess it's weird because they still want to live here. Right. They could live wherever they want now, but they still want to live here. So, you know, their whole thing was, okay, you know, even though we're going into a crisis, we don't know what's going to happen. Right. We're happy that we actually have our dream home that we want, that we can, quarantine in and be happy. So,
yeah. So I got a couple more questions for you. This is from Curtis, actually, who was on first. He says, is it true out there that an athlete or a movie star affects the comps?
Affects the comps?
Comps.
Oh,
Comps.
The comps? So, no. It depends. You know, if someone wants to live in the place that their favorite movie star lived, then, you know, they'll pay what they need to pay. But I would say, I mean, a lot of people, if you live out here, a lot of people, it's kind of like with you, like I said, your neighbor could be your favorite movie star or your favorite athlete. It's so common, and people walk and see each other. I mean, I'm not saying everywhere, but it's very common to see these people day in and day out, to where, you know, purchasing their home there wouldn't be an influx in value just because of who's selling the property, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. It has to be a very particular situation, which it's so normal out here to where it's literally about the property and what the property can offer you as opposed to who's selling it.
I like that answer. So this is my last question for you. So we got about 10 minutes left, so be quick with this one. So if anybody's thinking about moving to the LA area, what's some things that need to keep in mind or consider before moving out there?
Right. So I would say definitely talking to an agent that has the experts, that is an expert in all of Los Angeles, because literally it's so big, huge. LA County is huge. I mean, literally, me and my sister, as far as our expertise, we cover it's about 40 miles. Yeah, 40, no, yeah, 40 miles. So, I mean, that's a wide spread of land. You need to, based on what that person's looking for, the expert can guide them on, what's here. Do you prefer suburb, more city, or what development's happening here to where maybe the prices would increase here and things of that sort. Also, we're very diverse. There's all walks of life here, and I would say probably the most important thing is to learn how to stay grounded, because you're definitely going to need it out here with people.
That's a great answer. Well, Natasha, thank you so much for joining me, and shout out to your sister for letting you sub in for, it was last minute, but I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule for hopping on with me, dropping some knowledge and about, kind of answering a lot of people's questions when it comes to these California questions when it comes to real estate and the cost of living, and, y'all doing a phenomenal job. So shout out to Black women, Black Girl Magic. Y'all doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Well, it's nighttime out here. Y'all still.
That's true. That's true.
Y'all got pretty much the whole night left. You know what I mean?
I know.
Awesome.
All right. Well, have a good evening.
To Natasha, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, y'all. That was Natasha Reneau-Jones, straight out of LA. She's a realtor out there. So shout out to all my guests, Curtis Lancaster, Amber Dorsey as well. Thank y'all for tuning in, for checking out the latest episode of the Crunch Time Instagram Live podcast. I'm your host, Benjamin Bullock. Thank y'all for tuning in. And if y'all have any questions for me or comments or concerns of how I can make the podcast better, go and send me a DM or follow me, do whatever you need to do. I'm definitely open to and I'm definitely open to any type of consideration of how I can get better. So make sure y'all follow the Crunch Time Instagram Live podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and also Apple Podcasts. Like I said, in regards to next week, we want to talk about the NBA draft, which is next Wednesday. So we're going to kind of get back to the sports aspect of this particular podcast. So thank y'all again for joining in, tuning in, asking questions. I thought it was a phenomenal episode considering, I kind of did a swivel in terms of the directions where I'm going to go. Kev, in regards to shirts and merchandise, I'm still working on that, man. I actually have a domain already, and I just need to go in and get that purchased in regards to making sure I can find a developer for the shirts and a buyer and all that good stuff. So I'll talk to y'all soon, man. Y'all be good and be blessed and stay away from COVID, or keep the COVID away from you as best y'all can.